They do say everything you see in testing you should take with a pinch of salt. That's kind of what you should do. But if there is one thing we can take away from testing, it is that the top 4 hierarchy dominance of Formula 1 is set to continue for this year. But which one of those 4 is going to be the fastest? Mercedes were seen as the preseason favourites heading into these new regulation changes, and there's nothing really suggests they won't be. Their car produced high mileage throughout the tests, and while they didn't produce any stunning lap times, they are known to be constantly sandbagging. You remember all those years with Lewis Hamilton where they were saying Ferrari were the favourites, and they never were. And this also maybe is to do with the fact that there is concerns over the reliability of their engines. You know, make your car look a bit slower so your rivals aren't worried about the legality of it. Now, this Mercedes loophole is likely to be banned at some stage this season, but it won't be happening until the second half of the year. And so up until that point, whatever advantage they do get from this loophole where the engine is allowed to pump a bit harder, they could remain dominant until then. And that might not be so good for new regulation changes, but it does often happen. However, so far, maybe not as dominant as we think they have been. It seems at the moment, second in the pecking order is Ferrari, which I don't think a lot of people expected, given that Ferrari were trying to downplay their chances before the start of the season, when they usually do the opposite, and then when the season starts, they fall apart. So maybe Ferrari are seen as dark horses in 2026. I mean, I'm not sure really how they could be seen as dark horses, given that they are the richest F1 team and have the most valuable brand. Now, Ferrari have been very impressive in terms of putting a lot of kilometers in throughout the tests, but their real impressive thing was their lap times, particularly in test 3. Charles Leclerc was comfortably the fastest time of the Bahrain tests. And it also seems their car is more impressive in the hotter temperatures, which means if Mercedes and Ferrari are neck and neck in terms of development of their cars, races could often be decided by the temperature on the day of the race, which is ultimately good for the sport, makes it unpredictable. Now, McLaren were seen slightly on the back foot this season, certainly compared to last year, because out of the 4 front-running teams, they are the only one who are an engine customer. That's a bigger disadvantage in this rule set than the previous one, because there was an engine freeze last time. Now there is engine development, and it is actually an engine formula. Their pace is still impressive, it seems, and they do seem to be up and near the front. They are also helped by the fact it looks like Mercedes have developed the most powerful engine in F1, although Ferrari might have something to say about those starts they're having. However, in an engine and battery reliant formula that we are now in, very hard to see a team who don't design their own engine managing to win it against a team who is an engine maker as opposed to an engine taker. It's just easier to design your car around your own engine. Red Bull, perhaps the most talked about team over the off-season, more personnel changes, and of course the new forward Red Bull powertrain engines. Looking like all those factors, we're going to put them on the back foot. Generally speaking, a new engine supplier comes to Formula 1, they struggle for the first couple of years, certainly proving to be the case for Audi and Honda it seems so far. But Red Bull have been impressive in the first 2 tests of the season, particularly coming right out of the gates with strong reliability for a new engine. However, there were signs of some gremlins in the final test as they try and push the car a bit harder, and that has hampered a bit of running. If I was put the pecking order right now, I would put Red Bull as 4th, although they're not miles behind. It would seem that Max Verstappen would need to have his best season yet if he wants to fight for the title. Ultimately, the 2 favourites for the title right now, I would say, are George Russell and Charles Leclerc. I know a lot of the Leclerc simps are guessing now he will be the 2026 world champion, but there are 24 races ahead for Ferrari to mess up strategy and for mishaps to happen, so we'll see.